Today, we're discussing what kind of person has aesthetic procedures and what are the key ingredients, the must-haves in your skincare. Hello TLCers, so we are going to be discussing what kind of person I generally see in the clinic. Like, who is it? Who are these people who decide, do you know what, I really think I could use a little bit of Botox, or I think today I might choose to get my lips filled. So I'm going to discuss a little bit about the various types of patients that I see coming into the clinic, and I have drawn up three categories that I see the most frequently of patients. So I would say that the first one is people who want to restore something that they've lost or regain something that has changed about them. Whether that be something like skin luminosity, they want to get that back, they want to not have a fine line or a wrinkle in certain areas. The key thing is they're not changing anything about the way that they look, as in the structure of the face, they're just replacing what's missing, that's all. So if you look at celebrities like Helen Mirren, for example, she's a good example of somebody who hasn't changed the way that she looks now. She just kind of looks like she did 10 years ago. She's just maintained that, which is awesome. Obviously, props to you, Helen. And somebody like Jennifer Lopez as well. J-Lo looks better now than she did 10 years ago. Again, amazing. And let me tell you, that is not special celebrity genes that these people have. They've had a little bit of help here and there. I'd say that that's the majority of the patients that I see in the clinic would be people who just want to restore and maintain their current appearance. The second category would be people who want to augment something, whether that be to have a bigger lip or perhaps to augment the cheekbone area to make the cheek jut out a little bit more. And there I'm thinking about people more like Kylie Jenner, who's obviously famous for her larger looking lip. Think Megan Fox circa 2013 when she had that period of looking a little bit too augmented in the cheekbone area. Not really my taste, but you know, horses for courses. And the third category would be people who are really trying to change something about the way that they look. So quite often that will be someone like who's male to female, like Caitlyn Jenner, or female to male even. I have many more male to female patients than vice versa, though, having said that. And for that group of people, it's really useful for them if we can help them feminize the face slightly and take away any masculinizing features. Obviously, a lot of that has to be done with surgery, but there are still some things that we can do non-surgically to help people achieve a more feminized appearance. A lot of patients ask me what skincare they should be using, what brand, what cream within the brand they should be going for. What's better is if I tell you about the ingredients that I look for in skincare, and then you can take that information and find out what works for you. There's no point looking at the latest skincare promotion or latest advertisement or what celebrity is using this or that cream on their face or on their ass. Take the knowledge that I'm going to give you, check out the ingredients and pick something that works well for you. So I want you to think about your skincare like a pyramid of skincare if you can. At the base of the pyramid, you'll have anything that is useful to protect the skin, because what's the point in using peptides and fancy things like this if you're not doing the basics of protecting your skin from environmental damage? And by that I mean things like UV radiation, pollution, ozone, infrared. More than 50% of the radiation from the sun, by the way, comes through the void of space as infrared. So an SPF on its own is not going to protect you from everything. The next layer in your pyramid sandwich is transformation. So that would be products which are used to improve the texture, the tone of the skin, improve cellular turnover, that sort of thing. And then at the top of the pyramid, you'll have anything which is used to optimize the skin. And that is going to be things like growth factors and peptides. You see a lot of the time in the consumer press, like buy this cream, buy that cream, contains this or that peptide, but there's literally no point in using any of these peptide creams unless you've got the underneath layers of the pyramid already locked down and sorted. So, layer number one, protection. So there are three things that make up the protective layer. So first of all, SPF. Now I've spoken many times about SPF already on the channel, so maybe you could go back and check some of the previous videos that I've done. Needless to say, the SPF that you select has to be a broad spectrum sunscreen, active against both UVA and UVB radiation, and it's better if it contains a physical sunscreen or a physical and a chemical sunscreen if you want to use one like that. Just go back and have a look at some of the previous videos. The next thing is antioxidants, so a vitamin C serum, for example. A vitamin C serum works a bit like a Pac-Man. I'm really showing my age there by talking about Pac-Man. For all of you that don't know what a Pac-Man is, it was a arcade game back in like the 70s or the 80s or something like that, and it was this little thing that looked like a piece of cheese that would go around and eat these little dots. Anyway, so the same thing happens with antioxidants. So you'll have a free radical over here, and then your antioxidant will come along and it will eat up that free radical just like a Pac-Man and stop it from causing harm to the surrounding cells. The third thing is DNA repair enzymes, which would be something like photolyze or endonuclease. And these are things that you can apply topically to the skin, which have been shown to decrease basal cell carcinoma rates, which is a type of skin cancer, and also actinic keratosis, which is a precancerous lesion. It also has been shown to decrease the shortening of the length of telomeres. So telomeres are the bits on the end of strands of DNA which act like shoelaces. So they stop the DNA from becoming frayed. And if you're living in a high stress environment, or that cell is in a high stress environment with lots of environmental pollutants and toxins, the telomere will become shorter much more quickly. Whereas if you're conversely living in a good environment with lots of freely available resources and little environmental pollution, then the rate at which the telomere becomes shorter is very slow. And these DNA repair enzymes have been shown to slow this rate of telomere aging, which is pretty nuts actually when you think about it, that this topical application of an enzyme can have such far-reaching effects on repair. The second category of products is transformation. So that would be something like AHAs or retinoids. I'm sure you've all heard of AHAs and retinoids before, and I think it's fair to say that there hasn't been anything quite as revolutionary as these two products. So when they came out back in the 80s, they pretty much changed the whole skincare game. AHAs are a non-occlusive moisturiser. So when you use a regular moisturiser that's occlusive, it forms a barrier on top of the skin which prevents transepidermal water loss, which is water being lost through the skin, kind of like evaporation through the skin almost. And if you put the moisturiser on top of the skin, then it stops that from happening. But what happens is your skin thinks, gosh, I'm actually really well hydrated, and you stop producing your own natural moisturising factors, which over time make your skin appear more dull, a bit more dehydrated if you're not using the moisturiser anymore. It just lacks a bit of luster. If you stop using the moisturizer, so when you come out of the shower, your skin feels then very, very tight and dry, so then you feel like you have to put more moisturizer on, and then you get stuck in this cycle of moisturizing and not producing your own natural moisturizing factors, round and round and round and round. So you have to break the cycle, and it takes about 2 weeks after you've stopped using an occlusive moisturizer for your skin to kind of get back to how it should be. This isn't the case for people who don't have good barrier function. So if you've got any sort of psoriasis or eczema or anything like that, this advice is not for you. It's for people with normal skin type. So when you have an increase of hyaluronic acid in the skin, it's a really, really good thing, because hyaluronic acid holds about 1,000 times its own weight in water. So imagine if you're increasing that in the skin, your skin's going to look better hydrated, it's going to look plumper, it looks more luminous, just generally much, much better. And AHAs have also got the added benefit of helping to exfoliate the outer layers of dead skin more quickly. So when you've got compacted layers of dead skin on the outer surface, it can be sometimes a bit sluggish for them to exfoliate off, and it makes your skin look a bit dull. But if you're using an AHA, it breaks the bonds between those cells and it allows them to come off more quickly, which makes your skin look like it's got this really nice glow to it, which is never going to be a bad thing. The next ingredient is retinoids. So there are many different types of retinoids, from oral to topical retinoids, and discussing all of them is going to be a video for another time. But needless to say, when you use a retinoid, you increase the rate of cellular turnover. So the skin cells that are at the bottom of the layer of skin, they come to the top more quickly. So you're constantly refreshing and renewing the skin. So you know, you imagine you've got an older skin cell on the surface. Of course, it's not going to look as bright and as vibrant as if you had a less mature skin cell on the surface. So it's a good thing. Over time, using a retinoid will improve pigmentation, fine lines, texture, pores, pretty much most of the skin concerns that people have due to aging, you can help using AHAs and retinoids. And finally, the apex of the pyramid, the very top bit, is going to be peptides and growth factors. So a peptide would be something like Matrixyl 3000, which I think at this point literally everybody has heard of Matrixyl 3000, or for example acetyl hexapeptide 3. And these are little collections of amino acids which act as cell signaling molecules. So they tell your body, in this area there's some damage, you better hurry up and repair this area here. A similar thing happens with growth factors, for example, transforming growth factor beta, which increases collagen stimulation in areas where it's applied. Unfortunately, it can also increase scarring as well, so yeah, have to be a little bit cautious with that one. But both of them work to harness your body's own repair mechanism to make it speed up. But they're no good being used on their own. There's no point in just using a cream that contains a peptide and maybe just like the tiniest dots of retinoid and then not doing the rest of it. You have to use everything together because they work together in concert. A quick word on peptides is nobody really understands exactly how they work, which I found quite interesting. So a peptide is normally larger than 500 daltons in size, which is it's a measurement of mass, and anything above that often won't penetrate or can't penetrate through the skin. So peptides normally don't actually penetrate through the skin. Nevertheless, there are quite a few papers out there which show they do have a beneficial effect on the skin when being applied topically. Okay, so that's all we've got time for this week. On screen now you'll see another Guess What We Did. Come back next week and I will let you know exactly which treatments it is that we carried out. In the meantime, please like, comment and subscribe to the channel. If there's anything else that you'd like to see us do a video on, or if you have any questions, please just comment below.